Peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. Welcome to a new video and a new episode about narcissism. There are certain things, my friends, that narcissists simply cannot understand or grasp properly, and that's exactly what causes them to suffer throughout their lives. Without a doubt, narcissists know very well what they're doing. They're fully aware that they're harmful individuals, but their problem lies in their inability to realize that they need to change their way of life. Generally speaking, the narcissist understands that their behavior is hurtful and damaging to the people around them, and yet they have absolutely no willingness to improve or change these behaviors for the better. However, there are certain things in the narcissist's life that they're completely unaware of or simply don't understand, and that's the topic of today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 very important things that narcissists fail to understand and are completely unaware of. The first thing, my friends, is that narcissists always have a false belief that there is an enemy in their life. A narcissist constantly imagines that the people around them are deliberately trying to upset them or sabotage their success. This belief leads to deep mistrust in others, which makes it impossible for them to form healthy relationships. The second thing is that narcissists completely refuse to take responsibility for their actions when confronted. They blame others for anything that goes wrong and always accuse them of being responsible for any problem that arises. They entirely avoid acknowledging their own role, even if they themselves cause the problem. This is one of the main reasons why narcissists never change or learn from their mistakes. The third thing is that narcissists end up destroying every relationship they enter due to their ongoing toxic behavior. They often believe that if the relationship is romantic, they can get away with abusive behavior because the other person is emotionally attached to them. But unfortunately, the relationship eventually collapses because their harmful behavior only escalates with time. This ultimately deprives the narcissist of ever finding true success or achieving the happiness that everyone seeks in life. These 3 things are what trap narcissists in a constant cycle of problems and suffering because they simply cannot understand how these behaviors impact their lives due to their narcissistic nature. As a result, narcissists will never find any stability in their lives because of these issues. And what's strange is that they continue to blame others, convinced, wrongly, that someone else is responsible for all the problems happening in their life. Meanwhile, the reality is that all these problems are caused by them. But instead of admitting that to themselves, they begin to treat you like an enemy, as if you're the source of all their misery. Narcissists, my friends, act this way because they know that once they're exposed and their ugly truth is revealed, it will be total destruction for them, a complete collapse of their life. The narcissist is forced to live their entire life in fake, superficial relationships, and they might end up losing people who truly love and value them deeply because of this behavior and way of living. Their harmful and aggressive behavior can even cause them to lose their job. They could also lose their own family, the people who genuinely love them. In fact, everything the narcissist once cared about, even their good reputation, eventually falls apart because of their toxic actions and damaging behavior, not just toward others, but toward themselves too. In this way, the narcissist sacrifices everything good in their life just to keep living in a destructive and abnormal manner. And remember, in the end, it's the narcissist who will be the cause of their own downfall. You have absolutely nothing to do with it. You must understand that everything happening and everything that will happen to the narcissist is the result of their own actions and choices. That's why a narcissist is like a ticking time bomb. One way or another, they'll eventually explode and reveal their painful truth, destroying their own life and the life of anyone unlucky enough to be in a relationship with them. The narcissist often believes, and this belief is central to how they think, that they're a victim and that people around them hate them, envy them, or are jealous of them. But when they sit alone and think honestly, they realize that they were the ones who betrayed those around them through their behavior and refusal to admit that they need to completely reevaluate their personality. Another very important point: narcissists always believe they possess a rare type of intelligence. They're convinced they're extraordinarily clever and have some strange ability to highlight certain things in their lives that make them appear exceptional. This is what makes others believe that the narcissist is a truly special and even legendary person. But despite all that, the truth eventually comes out, revealing that the narcissist is really like a child in the body of an adult, completely unaware of many important aspects of life. When a narcissist does something harmful or abusive to others, they never accept responsibility for it. Instead, they lash out with extreme anger to deflect any blame from themselves. On top of that, narcissists completely lack awareness of the consequences of their actions. They also get bored very quickly, and they act impulsively without thinking through their decisions. The moment they feel bored, they immediately start getting rid of whatever caused that boredom, even if it's a relationship that gave them all the emotional support they needed and will never be able to replace. They throw it away because of their impulsive decision-making and inability to appreciate what they have. As we said earlier, the narcissist is exactly like a child in the body of an adult. All their behaviors resemble that of a child who wants something specific but can't get it. So they start crying or doing whatever it takes to get what they want. The problem is that, in many cases, you might actually find it easier to deal with a child than to deal with a narcissist. These traits, my friends, make the narcissist an abnormal person and a real danger to anyone who gets involved with them, because of their unstable thoughts and impulsive, reckless behavior. To the point where the narcissist can even be a serious danger to their own children due to their instability and disorganized actions. The danger of a narcissistic person becomes extremely clear, especially during legal disputes between spouses. In such situations, the narcissist often turns into a tool of revenge, completely ignoring their children and their needs. And this applies to both husbands and wives, not just men. A narcissist will use their children to achieve their personal goals, no matter the harm that might befall those children. The narcissist's problem is that, even after everything, they expect you to take them back and forgive them without a second thought, even after you've discovered all the abuse they subjected you to and all the lies they told about you, while pretending the entire time to be your victim. The narcissist's abuse isn't just directed at you, it extends to the children as well. They're fully willing to abandon their own kids just to win their battle against you and to get revenge. And after all of that, the narcissist will come back again, as always, acting sweet and gentle, expecting you to return to the relationship once more. Imagine, after all this abuse, they genuinely believe deep down that you're waiting for them, ready to get back together and walk the same harmful, painful path all over again. And this is one of the things narcissists never seem to understand. But the time will come when you will completely reject the abusive relationship, no matter what they do or how remorseful they appear to be. That's why the narcissist completely ignores the consequences of any decision they make, even if that decision involves ending the relationship or separating from you. They remain convinced, falsely, of course, that whenever they want to get you back, you'll agree immediately. Something very important to understand about narcissistic personalities, in which they themselves fail to comprehend, is that they're deeply dependent on others. The narcissist sees you as someone who exists to serve them, always ready to meet their needs and demands at any time. They rely entirely on you to fulfill those needs without making any effort on their part whatsoever. That's because they completely lack the ability to depend on themselves or to be self-sufficient. They are essentially parasites. They have no real personality, and everything inside them consists of illogical thoughts and a total dependence on others to keep their life going. The narcissist is extremely keen on having multiple and endless sources of supply to ensure that they never face any shortage or difficulty in meeting their needs that they rely on others to fulfill. The narcissist holds a completely false belief that they are a successful person who achieves everything on their own, and that everyone always needs them because of their limitless power and abilities. They see others' dependence on them as proof of their own greatness and arrogance, which makes people surrender their lives and will completely to the narcissist, who fully believes their own lies and lives in a fantasy of superiority they've created and convinced themselves of for their entire life. Narcissists, my friends, live in a distorted world where they try to convince both themselves and others that they are unmatched, rare individuals, and this imaginary world is where they love to stay for their entire lives. But unfortunately, the moment they're confronted with reality and the harsh truth, everything changes. That fantasy world collapses the moment the painful truth appears. Narcissists rely entirely on others to feed their ego. It's how they feel their self-worth. And the moment they're deprived of this external validation, their life itself begins to fall apart, because that's what gives them the will to live and function. Over time, the things that once fed the narcissist's ego and damaged self-image naturally begin to fade away. And in the end, without a shred of doubt, the narcissist is finally forced to confront the very truth they've spent their entire life avoiding.